Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom, filming on our new camera. So, in this video, we're going to be reviewing this book. So this is The Black Girls Left Standing by Juliana Goodman. So this is kind of an interesting book. So in this book, we have our main character by the name of Bo Willett. So at the beginning, the book starts with her at her sister's funeral. Her sister has been murdered by a cop because she was standing on his porch. And her boyfriend, who is, let me see if I can find the name, Jordan. Her sister's name is Katra. Kata. It's K-A-T-I-A. So I have no idea how to pronounce that. Jordan is the boyfriend. He's run off. So the boyfriend has run off. This is her older sister. She's about 15 years old. And so her sister has been killed. And throughout the book, now she goes to a magnet school. She's an artist. And so this is a magnet school. I'm not entirely familiar with magnet schools. They're not a West Coast thing. I'm guessing they're very similar to our charter schools, only they're very topic specific. So this is she gets on the bus, goes to a completely different part of town. She lives in the projects of, I think this is New York City. It might be Chicago. No, it's Chicago. She lives in the Chicago projects. If you are unfamiliar with what the projects are, basically they're public housing. So they're the poor section of the city, most likely often filled with people of color, like Bo here. At least I think that's how you pronounce her name. It's spelled B-E-A-U. So I was calling her Bo, but you know, characters in books with names you're not familiar with, you pronounce them in your head as you do. So she's an artist. She goes to this magnet school. One of her friends, she has two main friends in here. Sonnet, who is an upper class African American girl who she goes to school with, and let me see if I can pull up the other name of our. Now I'm going to pronounce it. I call this person's names Deja, which is D-E-J-A. And that is because I am very familiar with the name as a main character in Tamora Pierce's series, Her Circle of Magic, Her Circle Opens, where she has a very similar, she has the exact same name for another dark-skinned person. I say this because this is a fantasy realm. Africa does not exist. America does not exist in Tamora Pierce's medieval time period. But again, that's how I pronounce it. I pronounce it Deja. That's what it says in my head. So Deja lives in the projects. She lives in, I think, the same building as Bo. And the other person who, besides Jordan, is also, there's a couple other major persons who's involved here. Another friend of theirs who they're no longer a friend with because she stole something from Deja that was like a childhood thing, and they haven't been friends in years. And then around the same time, she starts dating another classmate of hers by the name of Champion. I do believe he's black. But basically what she does throughout this book, particularly with the help of Sonnet, is she's trying to find Jordan because she wants to know what the heck happened to her sister. That is her big thing. Meanwhile, her family's falling apart. Her mother loses her job. Her father's out of work and sleeping. Her parents had been fighting all the time. Her father's been sleeping on her uncle's couch. Basically, her world is imploding while she's trying to figure out what the heck happened to her sister. And she's in a school with a lot of kids who are, again, this is a magnet school. This is outside of town. It's very specific to the art. So she's interacting with a lot of kids who are not living in the projects. Put it that way. Sometimes they're not of color. They're more affluent. Again, her friend Sonnet is affluent, but she's also African American. She's a person of color, as I believe is the correct term. I don't know what the heck it is at this point because I'm not one. So, but it's an interesting kind of journey, both of Bo's trying to find her place and understand her grief and how this works and interact with the people around her, the gangs, the danger, because Jordan is part of a gang. And she's trying to figure out what the heck happened to her sister, as her sister is villainized and there were drugs in the car and stuff that's pretty common, unfortunately, for people of color, particularly living in the city or anywhere else. Yawning. Sorry, it's like 8:05 at night. And it's a Sunday night, so busy weekend. But nonetheless, it's a really interesting book. It touches on a lot of different things, on grief, on what it's like to live in the projects of friendship, because different things happen with different friends, and trying to figure this out, what it means to the community. And again, in this book, obviously the cop is not indicted. Not really all that surprising, unfortunately. So, even though he shot an unarmed girl who he claimed was trying to break into his house at night, even though there was no evidence she was on his porch, they were not in his home. I don't even know if she was even knocking on the door at that point. So, yeah, we don't know. So, yawning. So, it's an interesting look. Her sister now wasn't obviously trying to rob the house. They thought they were at a friend of Jordan's. Jordan ran off when she was shot. And he's actually been hiding with her friend Deja. And been sleeping with him. And Deja apparently wanted desperately to be wanted. So, yeah. And one of their other friends found out about it. And she was blackmailing her to keep silent. And a lot of things in Bo's life implode. It does kind of have a happy ending. She gets this artist that she admires. She gets not necessarily, she doesn't win, the woman's offering a specific prize, which goes to another girl for them painting a mural that's basically facing a wall by another girl, because they were originally going to do a mural of her sister, but people in the Blue Lives Matter group, parents, were complaining, because how dare they paint a mural that faces a wall on the school of this supposed black drug dealer. So they end up painting another mural by a white rich girl. Again, not surprising here. And she gets like scholarship money. But what Bo ends up getting is an internship. This woman who she had interacted with that she does admire, who is a person, I believe, of color. Basically, it's like, you're going to get a certain amount of money and you're going to spend the summer traveling with me. And they do end up painting the mural of Bo's sister on, I think it's in a restaurant that her sister admired. So, and she gets back together with her friends. She forgives her friend Deja, who got in trouble because there was a big shooting in her apartment. And she'd been living there. I think her mother was a prostitute. And I think so was she. And her father came and grabbed her because they are underage. Bo, I believe, is just 15. She's just a 15-year-old. Her sister was college age. But it's a really interesting book. This is definitely teen partially topic. Now, again, I am not a person of color, so I cannot judge this. I certainly do not live in, I have never been to, I think I've been to O'Hare. I've been to the airport. That does not count. I've never been to Chicago. So I've not really been to a big city. I am a obviously very white, very European, middle class, privileged, suburb living, stay-at-home mom with a master's degree. I cannot ever imagine what it's like to be a person of color, let alone living in the projects in a big city. This is a really good book to look at what that life is like. The characters are well written. It's kind of a mystery, but it's also very much, this is a story of grief and understanding and growth of this young girl in learning to accept herself, accept her art, and really realize that it doesn't matter what the world thinks of her sister. It only matters what she does. She knows the truth. And even if the world isn't going to listen, which they're not likely to, this is about her, not the world. She does find out what happened. Jordan is on the hook for a couple of murders. He's going to prison for a nice, decently long time. But again, it's very much a book about self-growth and how Bo and her family grieve and learn and come to an understanding about life and about grief. So it is a very, very good book. This is definitely targeted at teens. So that's where I'm going to recommend it, because that is this is who the target audience is. So this is a teen book. Definitely a great book to bleed for Black History Month, no matter what the color of your skin. It's a fantastic book with very, very relatable characters. And for those of us who are not people of color, it's a good look into, in a sense, the mind and lives of, in this case, a very specific character living in the projects of Chicago and how they live their lives. So that's the end of this video. If you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. I do cover Black History Month every year. This year I'm covering this book, and I just covered another book, I Rise, which would have come out last week, are some of the more, and I'm covering a little bit more teen books for Black History Month this year, because I have at least 2 more books to get through. I have this one is an in-between, because I'm covering Women's History Month next, but this is Does My Body Offend You, which is a little different, because the main character is that's my Women's History Month. I have another, what on earth is the next book that I am covering here for Black History Month? Because, of course, Black History Month has to be the shortest month in the world. Operation Sisterhood is the next book in the that I will be covering. I have not actually read that yet, so it is sitting on my bedroom floor. So, be sure to check out the rest of the channel. I'm covering Women's History Month next month. Just so you know, you guys are seeing this in February. I'm filming this in September of 2023. The very end of September of 2023. So that's when this is being filmed. So I'm covering, again, Women's History next month in March. I'm covering the Titanic in April. I'm doing Asian history, focusing on Angel Island in June. I'm focusing on Ellis Island in July. Switching. May is Angel Island, June is Ellis Island. Then I believe, let me come into what on earth I'm covering in July here. Food. Covering food in July, and that means I'm covering women inventors in August. And then I'm doing a deep dive into Beauty and the Beast. If you're interested in kind of what that's going to look like, check out my Cinderella playlist. So that's where I look into not just the Disney stuff, but the original source material. So that will be coming up, obviously, in September. I'm doing space in October. I have done haunted stuff before. You can check out playlists for that. It's just there's a limited amount of stuff that I can cover that's kid friendly, and I don't like horror. So despite the fact that I did cover Joseph Delaney's Last Apprentice book series. You can check that out too. And you can also check out The Princess Diaries, which is the book series I covered directly after that, as you can understand, because The Last Apprentice is really, really horror and very, very dark. Moving on. But I'll be covering the Hindu festival of Diwali in November, because I ran out of stuff to do with African American History Month. You can check out those playlists too, because I have some stuff. And I'm covering mysteries in December. For book series, this is the second year running where I'm covering multiple book series during the year. I have covered, you can check out the rest of my playlists. I have some other stuff. I have Tamora Pierce. I have covered a good chunk of her series. I think I still haven't covered, if you're familiar with this author, at least two. I haven't covered two of her major series, and then I'm completely up to date with her. So you can check Tamora Pierce. She's under the author. But this year I've covered The Bearers of the Ice, which is Catherine Lasky. This is the continuation of me covering her Guardians of Ga'Hoole and her Wolves of Beyond series. I've covered Animorphs, doing Anne of Green Gables, Boxcar Children, and Wings of Fire. So those are the book series that are being covered in 2024. So check out the rest of the channel. Look forward to more. And for those of you who are interested, coming probably August, September next year, we will start doing some homeschooling stuff, because that is when we will officially start our homeschooling journey. So again, like and subscribe, and thank you.